Welcome to Recap King. In this video, we will explain Finch. This movie tells the story of a robot that lives on post-apocalyptic Earth which was built to protect the life of his dying creator's beloved dog. Can they survive in a world that is on the verge of collapse? Let's find out in Finch. Finch tells the story of a man named Finch Weinberg who must fight to survive after a great catastrophe that attacked the Earth and wiped out almost the entire population. Told in the year 2031, 10 years have passed since a catastrophic solar flare destroyed the ozone layer and caused the sun's ultraviolet rays to increase to heat the temperature on the Earth's surface to around 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Because of the extremely hot weather, plants and living things became extinct over time and planet Earth became a desert where most of the living creatures could not live. Initially, they can take shelter in houses or bunkers to avoid the extreme heat. But because the availability of food is running low, they are killing each other to get food. Finch, a robotics engineer, lives alone with his dog, Goodyear, and the helper robot he created, Dewey, in an underground St. Louis who was once owned by the company he worked for before the disaster. Every day, he only ventured out to look for food supplies and various necessities by wearing protective clothing because the sun's radiation could burn his skin in just a few minutes. One day, when Finch was hunting for groceries during the day using a special truck, from a distance, he saw a solar storm that was getting closer to the area where he lived. He immediately rushed back to his hiding place. As usual, he cleaned his clothes and Dewey from the sand to not damage the robot's system. Finch always spends his free time reading the books he collects while hunting for food supplies. Over time, he felt that his body was getting weaker and his health condition was getting worse, and he thought he had been poisoned by radiation. Feeling that his life will not be long, he also seeks to create a more sophisticated humanoid companion robot to help him do the tough jobs and care for his dog after he dies. Finch began to collect science books and enter all the important information, including manuals for training and caring for dogs, into the software he later used as the brain of his robot. It didn't take long for Finch to create the humanoid robot. He managed to perfect the communication system so that the humanoid robot could interact with him and respond to his every word. In addition to information and knowledge from books, Finch also includes other rules that must be obeyed by the robot. Which the robots must not injure humans, must not let humans suffer, must always help humans, and lastly the robot must protect and care for Goodyear while he is in bed. That night, while Finch is repairing equipment, he sees a large sandstorm drawing closer to the hideout. He finally learns that the storm will last for 40 days through the information system he implanted in the robot. Instantly he was frustrated because he did not have enough food supplies and had to think of other ways to survive. Finch finally decided to go as far as possible to avoid the storm to a city he had never been to, which is San Francisco. As time ran out and the storm was expected to reach its place in 24 hours, he rushed to perfect the humanoid robot's physical form and train it to perform physical activities such as walking and lifting things. Due to the hasty departure, the robot can only download 72% of its encyclopedic data, and its mental capacity still requires training. After preparing all the necessary equipment, Finch and Goodyear and the robots immediately rushed from their hiding place to a safer place by driving a van heavily modified by him to support their needs and survive in extremely hot weather. During the trip, Finch never met anyone. The entire area they passed has been turned into a stretch of desert due to high exposure to ultraviolet rays that have heated the Earth's surface to more than 70 degrees Celsius in the last 10 years. Once out of reach of the sandstorm, he decides to pause and fix the robot. After that, he invited the robot to get out of the car and trained him to do daily activities including looking for food supplies. He also teaches the robot to have its own initiative to help humans and also teaches fun little things like baking popcorn in the hot sun, which makes the robot very excited to see the popping popcorn. When Finch realized that the storm was approaching, he hurried away as far away from the storm as possible. Even so, the speed of his van couldn't beat the speed of the sandstorm because in a short time, the storm was able to catch up to them. He finally decides to restrain his car by using a chain attached to an iron stake embedded in the ground with no other choice. Thanks to the robot's help, he could finish the job in time before a sandstorm hit their van. Finch and his group try to survive the onslaught of a very powerful sand tornado. Luckily, they could survive the tornado even though their van tires were damaged by the storm. Finch is surprised when the robot turns out to lift weighty loads, such as a van, when he is trying to replace a dented car tire. He feels very helped by the presence of the robot in carrying out his life. In recognition of his contribution, he decided to let the robot choose a name for himself. The robot was overjoyed that Finch had finally allowed himself to have a name he wanted. After considering various name options, the robot finally chose the name Jeff. The next day, Finch, awakened by the sound of barking Goodyear, Jeff and Dewey. When Finch asked what was going on, Jeff replied that he was trying to communicate with Goodyear because Goodyear had never been able to get along with him, even though he would later be assigned to protect and care for the dog. Hearing this, Finch then told Jeff a story about the meaning of trust in a team and hoped that Jeff and Goodyear could form a strong bond based on trust. Finch decides to stop by with Goodyear and asks Jeff to wait in the car when he finds a food stall. He parked his car very close to the restaurant terrace, which had a canopy for protection so he didn't have to wear protective clothing. However, Jeff, who really likes to play with toy cars, accidentally advances the car, making the distance quite far from the canopy. Finch, who knows this, then gets angry at Jeff and tells the robot that the human and dog bodies are different from robot bodies. He points out that his skin can burn immediately if he is in the sun without protective clothing. Since Jeff had regretted his actions and Finch also realized that he didn't mean to harm him, Finch then took the initiative to teach Jeff how to drive a van. In the evening, Finch and Jeff relax outside the car while enjoying the view of the aurora borealis, which is usually only seen in the polar regions. Unlike during the day, the air at night was very cold and the wind was blowing hard. Jeff then asked Finch why they didn't go looking for food supplies at night. Finch then replies that traveling at night is even more dangerous because there is something far worse and more dangerous than the threat of any natural disaster, which is human greed. As the days go by, Finch tries to teach Jeff some valuable lessons about life and how to protect Goodyear as his health worsens. Jeff's curious behavior was both entertaining and frustrating at the same time, but the robot slowly showed more initiative and Finch was relieved. As they were about to reach Denver, Finch lay sick in bed with a high fever. Seeing Finch's condition looking in pain, Jeff took the initiative to go to an abandoned hospital with Dewey. Jeff looked for the medicines Finch needed, as well as the various supplies he needed. Meanwhile, Dewey, who was downstairs, unknowingly entered a bear trap which instantly smashed his body into pieces. While enduring the pain, Finch, realizing that they were already in town and couldn't find the robots anywhere, rushed to find Jeff and Dewey. Finch heads to the hospital and finds Dewey already destroyed in a trap set by another human. He immediately picked Jeff up and drove as far as he could before anyone else noticed their presence. In the evening, Finch realizes that they are being followed by an unknown car. He then told Jeff to speed up to avoid being chased by the unknown car. He decides to hide in the tunnel, but it turned out that the tunnel was too short for their van to pass. Seeing Finch panicking, Jeff tried to squeeze the van into the tunnel and they could hide there without being seen. After making sure things were safe enough, they decided to get out of their hiding place. Seeing the broken solar panels on top of his car, Finch immediately despaired that he would survive the trip to San Francisco. Seeing Finch hopeless, Jeff took the initiative to comfort and convince him that they could reach San Francisco together and go to the Golden Gate Bridge that he always talked about. Hearing Jeff being so optimistic, Finch then tells his past about why he avoids other humans so much. A few months after the catastrophic solar flare occurred, Finch, who was gathering groceries, saw a little girl standing alone not far from where he was. Finch then hides and overhears the little girl's conversation with her mother, who tells her daughter to shoot anyone she sees and take their things. Before long, Finch heard the roar of the car and the girl's mother's screams telling the people in the car not to disturb them. But unlucky, the mother and daughter were shot by the people in the car to death. After the car left and made sure things were safe, Finch went straight to the little girl's body and opened the backpack she was carrying. He finds a puppy in the bag, decides to take care of the puppy and names him Goodyear. Since that incident, Finch has always tried to avoid other humans because he thinks that greedy humans are far more dangerous than any disaster. Jeff continued to drive towards San Francisco until the robot was startled by a butterfly he accidentally bumped into and stuck to the windshield. Jeff immediately told Finch that the butterflies could fly in the extreme heat. Finch eventually discovered that UV radiation had dropped low enough through a radiation level meter installed in his car. He then ventured out of the car without wearing any protective clothing and found himself perfectly capable of being out in direct sunlight without worrying about his skin burning. He finally felt very relieved and shouted with joy. Excited, Finch spent the afternoon outside with Jeff relaxing and wearing the best outfit he had. He again tells Jeff about his past. This time it's about his father, who he never met in his life because he had left him and his mother before he was born. At the age of 15, he received a postcard with a picture of San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge from his father, along with a message from him to meet him at the bridge. But Finch could never see his father because he was busy caring for his mother, who was sick, and there was a catastrophic solar flare that almost wiped out the human population. While teaching Jeff how to play catch and catch with Goodyear, Finch coughs up blood. Jeff tried to get Finch back into the car, but Finch shook hands with the robot and hugged Jeff with tears in his eyes. After that, Finch breathed his last calmly. Jeff then cremated Finch's body and traveled to San Francisco to fulfill his last wish with Goodyear. As their journey is always together, Jeff and Goodyear are getting closer and can build trust between them until they become friends and a solid team. On the other hand, the area around Finch's grave made by Jeff has been overgrown with fresh greenery, as a sign that the Earth is recovering itself after being hit by a terrible catastrophe. When Jeff and Goodyear finally arrived in San Francisco, they found that the city was livable, but still deserted. They are finally able to fulfill Finch's wish to come to the Golden Gate Bridge, and there, Jeff finds evidence that there are still survivors. Jeff and Goodyear are determined to find people who are still alive, in the hope that Jeff can tell the story of a great man named Finch Weinberg, and the film ends.